Hello everyone, AmyR here with Prairie Paper and Ink, and something that has been very highly requested. I haven't used these in a little bit, but when I was doing a bunch of videos using the Tonic, Nuvo Shimmer powders, I had a lot of people asking me how they looked individually, because I was, mixing and matching and sprinkling several on my backgrounds. I'll link to videos that I've done using these powders. So I sat down and did 8 backgrounds using each of these Nuvo Shimmer powders. So to create my backgrounds first, I have some watercolor paper that was cut down to about like 4.5 by 6 roughly, because they were 9 by 12 sheets that I cut into 4. So I did that twice, so I had 8. And then all of these backgrounds, I white heat embossed different background stamps onto them. And I did 2 of each. So this first one is the new Simon Says Stamp Diamond Pattern background. And all of my backgrounds, I did the same process. I did my anti-static powder tool first. I have my stamp face up. I inked it up with clear embossing ink, pressed my my watercolor paper onto it really firmly with my fingers, coated it with my detail white embossing powder, and then melted it. And I would just repeat this process. So I did this twice with each background, and I used 4 different backgrounds. So the first 2 were that diamond pattern. Then I used the new folk dance background. Same thing. Used my anti-static powder tool, inked up the stamp with the clear embossing ink, firmly press my watercolor paper onto the background, and I just hold it with my fingers and then use my other hand to rub it really well to transfer as much of that ink as possible. With one like this, with more solid sort of images, I don't get the perfect heat embossing because I am stamping it onto like a textured watercolor paper. But it still gets the pattern, and that's what I want. And I like the heat resistant look with the shimmer powders because it just makes everything look so much more magical. Plus it gives places for color to pool, in between the white heat embossing. So it just gives it a fun look, in my opinion. So I did 2 with this one, and then I also used the Center Cut Burst and the Flower Explosion background. All of which I'll have links to, like all the supplies and all that, in the description box below, as well as on my blog. So once all my backgrounds are heat embossed and done, kind of clear off my work surface here, and I just sprinkle the powder onto my background. And I've said this as well, do not squeeze these bottles. You will get like literally an explosion of powder everywhere, like a pile of it. I just I hold the bottle and I just tap my finger against the bottom just to get a really light sprinkle, because that's all you need. And then I spray it with water. And with my first 2, I was very heavy-handed with the water. I really wanted to just kind of coat the entire background because this is a more simple background stamp. So there's not a lot of areas for the color to pool. So you'll also get different looks. Like with these first 2 powders, you will get different looks depending on, the background you use, because of how much concentration of color you get and whatnot. I did take pictures of each of these backgrounds with their shimmer powders, and I'll insert them here into the video just to give you a little bit of a better idea. I try to hold them up in the light because there is a shimmer to them. So I did this with every single background. I just went along, sprinkled the powder, sprayed this with water, and then set it aside, and I had a huge mess. I had them all over my office here because, doing 8 backgrounds, it was a mess. Another plug, I guess, for the glass media mat. I didn't have this when I was working with these before. It's a lot easier to clean up, this glass mat, than it is my non-stick cutting mat. Yeah, I had powder everywhere. It's just, they're fun. I really enjoy working with them, and I love the very randomness of it. You just can't predict what's going to happen. Some of these powders, again, some of these powders have multiple colors. Like this one has a bit more of like green and blue in it. Some of them are very, I don't know how to kind of explain it. Like this yellow one is very shimmery. It was really hard to capture the shimmer on camera and in pictures. But yeah, they're all very different. People have been asking me, like, what's my favorites? Honestly, it just depends on the look I'm going for. I do really like the multicolor one, like this Catherine wheel. I'm not big with reds. That's not, you know, the colors I go for, but this one is very gorgeous. It has like red, gold, and like pink in it. It's really pretty. So the ones obviously with the multiple color powders in their kind of mix, I gravitate towards, but I do like all of them. It just kind of depends on what I'm creating and what sort of look I'm going for. This pink is really gorgeous too. Very shimmery, very intense in color. But I really do like all of them. This last one, of course, is definitely a favorite. Everyone has been going nuts over it. And I didn't do anything special. Everyone was asking what I did. Literally just sprinkle the powder. This one has multiple colors, the pink and the purple. This is the only one I did dab up a bit because it was extremely concentrated and I didn't want it to be quite so dark. But very pretty blues and purples and pinks. So this is the Violet Brocade, and it is kind of, I guess out of all of them, it is my favorite. Technically, but I do like them all. So set all of these aside, let all of them dry, which took a while because again I was very heavy-handed with the water, so everything was like soaked right through. But let them dry completely, and then I trimmed all these down to about 4 inches by 5 1/4. So that removed any of the edges that didn't have like any of the stamp images, plus it made it, I wanted them a little bit smaller than a standard A2 size card. So, and my standard kind of mass production method, you know, I did all the heat embossing at once. I did all the sprinkling and spraying of the backgrounds at once. Now I'm doing all the trimming at once. Like doing everything in stages, it does help speed up the process a bit, but it did still take a while because I made all these into finished cards because I couldn't not after doing all these backgrounds. So after I had trimmed everything down, I used score tape on the back of all these panels. So I've got score tape on the back, and then I've adhered pieces of craft foam that I've cut to just slightly smaller than the background. So the craft foam is just shy of, you know, the 5 1/4 by 4 inches. And I have score tape on the back of that as well. So then once I've got the craft foam in place, I can then adhere these to my card fronts. And just using the craft foam and the score tape, it helps to really flatten these out. These, after they were dry and everything and trimmed, they weren't warped too badly. But this still gives everything a really sturdy base on all my cards and flattens them out really nicely. Plus, it was faster doing the score tape and the craft foam than it was putting foam tape on the back of 8 panels. So I did that for all of them. And then for all my die cut sentiments, I used some of the new ones. This is the Big Happy. This is from the new Friendly Frolic release from Simon. This one is huge. I love it. All my sentiments are stacked. I stacked them with, I die cut the main part of the sentiment with Simon's glitter cardstock, and then I would stack that with like white cardstock, and then if the shadow stamps or shadow dies, I was die cutting from white. I did all that off camera, again, just sitting, letting Netflix play in the background while I die cut a ton of sentiments using my little Sidekick machine. And I would just die cut all the layers and then, you know, stack them all together. And then did all that in one step. And then now I'm just starting to adhere all these backgrounds to the foam, craft foam, and then to my card bases. And all my card bases are heavyweight white cardstock cut to 4 1/4 by 11 and scored at 5 1/2. So they're all top folding A2 size cards. So after I've got all of my backgrounds, I would adhere each to the card base, and then I would adhere the die cut sentiments to the cards. And the dude sentiments, this was from last month's release, which I love this one. This was the only one I actually die cut 2 shadow images from it and adhered the one normally and then adhered the second offset just to give it a little extra something because I wasn't planning on embellishing that card. And then after I adhered all of my sentiments, I also heat embossed sentiments from several Simon stamp sets. There's the new tabbed sentiments from Simon and CZ Design. So I used that one for my happy cards. I also used the EMPHATIC stamp set and the messages for everyday stamp set. So all of those I stamped onto black cardstock and then heat embossed with the same Simon Says Stamp detail white embossing powder that I used for the backgrounds. And then all of these sentiments I'm adhering into place with the little narrow Derice foam strips. Just popping that on and to kind of finish off these card fronts and the sentiments. And then once I have all of my sentiments adhered, and with these ones I was putting them on a little bit of an angle. I thought that would be just a little extra something. So get all those adhered, and then on the insides of all the cards, I'm just stamping more sentiments from those same sets just using Simon's Intense Black ink. Just to completely, you know, you got to finish off the inside. You got to have something. So I really like the masculine ones. It's like, dude, you the best. And the inside, yes, seriously. I really love these CZ Design sentiment sets. I've shown them in haul videos. I've been using them. Some of them, they very much appeal to me. Some of them have the perfect swears in them. I haven't used the ones with the swears on my videos yet. I've shown them in haul videos. I love them. Some of them is just because it's things I say. So definitely worth checking out. Anywho, after I had adhered all my sentiments, stamped all the sentiment on the inside, I added just a little bit of bling. I didn't want to go too crazy, but I've got like packs of all these fun sequins, and so many of the colors went really well with those shimmer powders, so I couldn't resist. So I pulled out several of these different packs and just adhered some of them here and there onto my backgrounds using Simon's Craft Tacky Glue and my Crystal Katana. That's another thing people have been asking, why I haven't been using the Crystal Katana lately. Mostly because when I'm using jewels, I like my Marvy jewel picker better. It's more sticky and it works better with jewels, but when I'm using sequins, I prefer my Crystal Katana. It's a little extra of me to have the two tools. Again, personal preference. If you have one and like it, great. If you have the other and like it, great. But I do prefer the Crystal Katana when I'm adhering sequins because it's got that waxy end to it. So it picks up sequins perfectly and it releases them perfectly, and I'm not fighting with it like I am with the Marvy one when I'm using sequins. So the two masculine ones, I didn't adhere any sequins. I kept them, you know, I went as far as using that glitter paper on the dude die cut, and then that was it. Kept it a little similar, but the rest of them I put, you know, different sequins on, and again, I'll link to all the ones I used. And that's going to finish off all of my cards. So like I mentioned, I will have links to the other videos I've done using these shimmer powders. I put pictures on my Instagram of all of the backgrounds, just the backgrounds with each of the shimmer powders. And then I'll have links to all the supplies used and all that info in the description box below the video, as well as picture links on my blog, which are a lot easier to like see and make sense of. So you can check that out below if you are interested. Thank you all so much for watching and subscribing and thumbs upping and commenting on my videos. I really appreciate it. And stay tuned. I will be posting more videos using the new release and whatnot. I'm in a blog hop tomorrow. So just stay tuned. Check out my blog. There's sale info, all kinds of stuff. So yeah, I've got everything linked. Check it out below. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you all very soon in the next video. Bye.